What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Main Street Fire Rescue. I'm placing this vlog in service as of right now. It's Wednesday, early August. Can't believe it, 2025. I'm sorry, 2024. Been a long day at work. You believe we're almost 2 days away from the first Mickey's Halloween Horror Nights, or I'm sorry, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Can't believe that's already around the corner, man. We're gonna go out to Magic Kingdom the next day or so to check out all of the Halloween decorations because everything is up now. They had to delay it because of the storm. So we're gonna do that in the near future. I thought about doing that tonight, but I'm like, no, we gotta talk about this, okay? Again, home vlog tonight. Lots of more cool shit tomorrow. This won't be that interesting to some, but I think others it probably will catch some people's interest. We're going to talk about anxiety, okay? Why did I pick tonight to do this? Because 2 years ago, on this very day, I kind of said to anxiety and kind of left it all behind. Did that happen overnight? Absolutely not. That was a long 2-ish year journey, and I'll show you what I did to end my battle with anxiety once and for all. I'm gonna put a video in at the end of this. I'm not gonna spoil it, so if you want to see what I did to end my anxiety forever, watch till the end, or watch the end. But I need to say this too to avoid some false statements. I didn't end anxiety, okay? I just got a handle on it. You know what pisses me off as a healthcare provider these days, we've weaponized everything, okay? ADHD now is a diagnosis. Anxiety is a diagnosis. The whole AUTISIM spectrum. You know, I hate to mention it because it's like you never know what's going to get deleted, bleeped, cut out, whatever. But you got this whole spectrum now. And that could be anything. You know, everything is they're putting everybody into these categories, and unfortunately with social media you have these younger people now, they're literally celebrating this. They go to a doctor and next thing you know they're making TikToks, YouTubes or whatever going, oh, I have my diagnosis today. I have ADHD, I have anxiety, I have this, I have that. There's another YouTuber locally that talks about his, and I'm going to say it because he puts it out there as fair knowledge. So if he talks about it openly on his channel with over 100,000 subscribers, I'm going to talk about it. He talks about his ankylosing spondylitis, you know, which is basically a form of arthritis. It's a fancy term for an arthritis in your back. It is very painful. However, with the right care and the right doctors, it is treatable. A lot of it is done through exercise. Exercise, strengthening your core, you know, working on your flexibility. There's no fixing it, but the way these people, like he did a vlog on this, I think it was about a year and a half ago, and it was just like the victim game, like, oh, it's me, I've got ankylosing spondylitis, whatever shall I do? Please send me the sympathy super chats. And I mean, it was just nauseating. It pisses me off that people do that. You know, the other one is ADHD. You know, we're going to do a vlog on DAS coming up very soon, and it's not going to be what you expect. I'm one of the few that is actually on Disney's side with this. I know that's hard to believe given some of my vlogs I've done lately, but I really do think Disney's in the right on this, which should make for some interesting debates. But I think that system had to be changed, and I know people don't like it the way it is now, but you know, it is what it is. You can't have just people randomly abusing a system and making up stuff, or just saying, I have ADHD, I have anxiety, I can't wait in line. That's absurd, man. That is nothing more than excuse making, okay? And somebody might say, well, Matt, what do you know about anxiety? Again, as I mentioned in the early part of this vlog, I had it really bad. I've had it a few times in my life. Once right before I was 21, and then I was able to get rid of it for a long time. And then it came rolling back right after I turned 40. And that second time it came around, it walloped me hard. And I was in denial of it because I kept saying, oh, well, next week it'll be better. Tomorrow it'll be better. One more day and this will be over with. I can handle it. And just like anything, people, if you've got this going on in your life, you can't do this on your own, okay? You need a decent doctor. I shouldn't say decent, a fantastic doctor. And not one that's going to be throwing pills at you either. We're going to talk about that too, because that part just infuriates me, what these psychiatrists and these doctors do to these poor patients. You know, they just... Hi, Mavi. Maverick stopping by. Wants to check on how the video's going. You know, these doctors, nobody wants to treat patients anymore. And from a healthcare provider... There he is. Hi, buddy. From a healthcare provider standpoint, it aggravates me to no end, because, you know, when we do patients' medical histories, we always ask, you know, well, what medicines are you on? And usually for a lot of people, it's a freaking laundry list of meds. You know, and the people that come in with these, you know, anxiety, ADHD, all that stuff, you know, I can tell you without even asking, I can almost guarantee you they're on an SSRI and they're on something like Klonopin or Xanax or Ativan. And I get so aggravated. Why do I get aggravated? Because I once was given those SSRIs. And oh my gosh, that was some of the worst I think I've ever felt in my entire life. I mean, we're going to get into that here in a minute, but I hated how those made me feel. Like, to sit there and say that that's normal, oh my gosh. So I basically got rid of that shit, and I went and did it a different way. But anyway, to start from the beginning, okay, I had anxiety really, really bad, like I said, in my early 40s, just a few years ago. And it got to the point where I was afraid to drive a car. Anybody that knows what I'm talking about, when you're driving a car, next thing you feel like your chest is getting tight, and then you feel like you can't breathe. And oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh shit, I'm going to go over a bridge. What's going to happen? I can't get off this bridge. Oh my God, my hands are going numb. What's going on with my hands? Oh, I can't feel my face now. I must be having a stroke. And it gets worse, and it gets worse, and it gets worse. Oh, and now 911, what's your emergency? Yeah, I think I'm dying. Something's wrong. I need an ambulance. And then the ambulance comes to get you, and they put you on all this stuff. You're breathing 50 plus times a minute. Your whole body's numb. Your hands are like this. You think the worst, and you get to the ER and the doc walks in, or now I walk in and say, oh, by the way, you had an anxiety attack. What the hell is that? What does that mean? And then if the provider or caregiver is really good at what they do, I'll sit there when we have time, and I'll pull that little rolly stool up, and we talk about this and explain that everything is very normal what you felt. That is your body going through the stressors of activating your sympathetic nervous system. You have two of them, sympathetic, parasympathetic. One is feed and breed, chill out. The other one is we're going to fight. We're going to fight hard. I don't know what we're going to fight, but we're going to fight. And that causes an insane adrenaline dump, and you're in for a ride once that happens. And these people, they come to the emergency room, they get some meds thrown at them, they get recommended to a psychiatrist or somebody, and they go see them, they get more meds thrown at them, and then another week or two they're back in the emergency room because the same shit happened. And then, you know, you may or may not have somebody that can really explain this, so they run them through the system, they discharge them, go back to the psychiatrist or shrink or whoever, and then another week or so they're back in the emergency room again because the same symptoms, and over and over and over. And then things start to disappear from your life. Like, your job starts to suffer. You might lose your job because of the time of work off work you're missing. You might start losing friends because they're tired of dealing with your crap. They don't understand it. You might start losing some family members, meaning like your family members might start wanting to distance themselves from you because they have no idea what's going on. They don't know how to handle it. And meanwhile, you're just doing this all the way down. It's just a big old freaking round and round and round and round all the way down the funnel. Man, it's a miserable feeling. And the sad part is, it doesn't have to be that way. It does not have to be that way at all. This is completely preventable. In fact, when I get in front of patients and I talk with them about everything they felt, they look at me like, holy cow, this guy gets it. I'm like, yes, because I've been where you are sitting. I know what this is like. I know there's nothing wrong with me, but your brain overrides every logical thinking you have, and it convinces you that something's seriously wrong. And you start spending your life inside of emergency rooms and everything else because you're convinced that there's something seriously wrong with you, and there's not. And then a lot of these psychiatrists out there, they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to hurt people's feelings, so they just tell them whatever they want to hear. Here, take this prescription. I'll see you in a couple weeks. You come back in a couple weeks. What's going on? Oh, I'm still taking my meds. Still feel like shit. Oh, great. How do you feel now? About the same. Great. Here, we're going to up your meds. Take this, and I'll see you in a couple more weeks. Tell you what you want to hear again. And on and on and on it goes. That was my first experience with this stuff because it got so bad for me that I knew I had to get some kind of help because I was starting to lose interest in everything. This was I was living in Charleston, okay? I used to love it, as I've talked about in my Doubletree video. I used to love driving down here when I lived in Charleston, coming to the theme parks, riding all the rides, just having a freaking blast here. Well, once this anxiety started kicking up, I stopped coming here, or the times when I forced myself here, I wasn't going on any rides or attractions. I was not doing anything. I was just like walking around, scared of absolutely everything. And what was I scared of? I thought, well, if I got on a ride or something, that what happens to me if I start having an emergency problem or a problem that would require an emergency on this ride? Who's going to be able to help me? Who's going to be able to come get me? Or I know how to treat people, but nobody else. Who's going to treat me when something goes wrong? Like that was my mindset. And everywhere I would go to places, I'd be like, where's the closest ER? Am I near an ER in case something goes wrong? I mean, that's what was happening, people. I mean, this is legitimately real stuff. And anybody that's been in those shoes, is currently in those shoes, knows exactly what I'm talking about. You become this terrified human being, afraid of life and everything that it has to offer, and next thing you know, you find yourself staying in your home all the time because that's the place where you feel the safest. It's almost like the minute you walk through that front door, you could be having the worst anxiety attack imaginable. The minute you walk in that front door, all the symptoms just lift because it's like you've walked into some force field. It's like, it's so powerful what the brain can do. And it is all driven by your brain. And it is a shitty problem to have. It really is. It sucks. And unfortunately, very few people know actually how to really deal with this stuff. So my story is I, got with a psychiatrist the first go around, and same thing, SSRIs and some of the other stuff, some of the benzos, and here you go, and nothing was working. I kept feeling worse, and I felt more numb than anything. Like I had no emotion, no nothing. I was just like walking around. And I think what really almost broke me was my mom actually came to visit when I was in Charleston. We went to Edisto Beach one day, and she looked at me. She's like, "What is wrong with you? You're just like there. You have no emotions. You're just walking around." Like, what happened to Matt? And it literally like broke me because I was like, this is not me. Everybody's noticing this. Something is seriously wrong. Like I'm trying to get help, but this isn't helping. I'm worse off than I've ever been. Again, I didn't have any negative feelings. I didn't feel depressed or anxious or anything. I was just there, but I had no happy feelings either. I was just stuck in neutral. And so that hit me so hard when I went home. I took all that medicine and whatnot, and I had these things that you basically pour the meds into, and it's like this sand or whatever, or this goo, and it dissolves everything, and basically you wad it up and then you throw it away, and it gets rid of everything. And I did that. I was so aggravated, and then I got rid of that therapist, and then I started looking around like, who can I find that's going to specialize in what is going on with me? And that's when I found the Low Country Fire Support Team. Any of you firefighter, medics, EMTs, police officers, military, anybody living in Charleston, South Carolina, or in South Carolina in general, that Low Country Fire Support Team is I can't say enough about it. That is unbelievable, the work they do. That's where I landed, and I was just, the anxiety levels and everything was so bad. I remember when I took my first test with them, and they measured your levels for post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety and all that, and I was, oh my gosh, I was sky high above what would be considered, normal high. Like, I was way above everything. I never felt at any point in time like I wanted to hurt myself. I wasn't in that situation. I was just terrified of everything. Like, this anxiety was ruining my life, and I was tired of it. And even in that, before that, I had made several trips to the emergency room thinking there's something wrong. If anybody that should know better, it should be me, because I know how this shit works. But my brain was so convinced that there was something else going on. And so I got hooked up with this low country support team. And it was right before the holiday season. And I remember they got me in right away. And that first visit in person, they kind of lay things out about what they're going to do. And they asked if you have any requests. I said yes. I said, I want no medication, none. I don't want to do this without medicine. And it's like my therapist, it almost looked like she wanted to hug me, because she's like, you have no idea how much better this is going to be at getting you to a recovery since you want to do this without medicine. She goes, it's going to be a harder journey because you're not going to be covering anything up, but you're going to get to that healing phase much faster than somebody that we then have to wean off medication. And so we began the work. And I always like to call this lady my drill sergeant, because she was. It's very similar to people who go through the military, go through boot camp, through fire, when you go through the recruit school. They tear you down emotionally to nothing. Like, they strip you down to every last raw nerve, and they build you up in the image that they want you to be. They need you to be tough. They need you to be hard. They need you to be just able to get shit done when it's needed. Like the training chief from Miami said to the recruit class on day one, he asked one guy, he goes, you ever seen an alien? No, sir. You ever seen a unicorn? No, sir. He goes, well, one of these days, unicorns or aliens are going to be riding a unicorn through the streets of downtown Miami, and somebody's going to call your firehouse, and you better figure it out. He goes, there is no 912. He goes, there's only 911. And he's like, we got to figure it out, and we got no time for excuses. And so it's basically like that. No excuses, do the work type thing. And so I did. I set out on this journey with this lady, and I met twice a week. And what I did was I started keeping a journal every day, how I felt. Did I have any anxiety that day? What went on? And slowly I started reintroducing my old activities back in, even though it made me very uncomfortable at the start, because again, I'd start shutting all this stuff out. So I started reintroducing everything in. And then the one big thing that I knew I was ready to make a leap forward on was I started getting back on roller coasters, started getting back on rides, and I started to enjoy that again. And the other thing with that is she gave me the tools to help calm the anxiety, okay? Like, help back it off a little bit, help realize that it's not going anywhere. It's a part of our daily lives. It's not this big old scary thing that people make it out to be. It's there because it's our body trying to warn us against things. You can never officially rid yourself of anxiety. It's in our makeup, okay? It's part of our it's part of our nervous system response. This idea that they can get rid of anxiety is I kind of said that in the beginning, but it's all leading into this. You get rid of it because you learn how to handle it, and you learn to not be afraid of it. The thing nowadays with most people is they have everybody so terrified of it that they think it's some juggernaut that is just taking over their lives, when it really isn't. It looks like kind of the Wizard of Oz, where it's this big, oh, hail Oz, and you pull the curtain back, and it's this little bitty man back there pulling levers. And once you figure that out, it's like you know how to control the anxiety then. And so she started giving me tools to control that stuff, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But once I started getting back on rides and enjoying that, then I knew I was ready for a next step, which was a big step, and that was flying on an airplane, which I had been decades since I did that. I had a really bad experience when I was in grade school, I think it was, 6th grade into 7th. Or no, I'm sorry. It was 8th grade into 9th. And it was a bumpy plane. It was the American Eagle planes. My mom was going on a teacher's conference, I think it was. And we were flying down to Tennessee. And I'd never flown before. And that was my first experience. And it was a bad one. And I was terrified of flying since then. I hadn't gotten on a plane. I would literally drive everywhere, kind of like how John Madden did. You just drive all over the place. And I knew that in order to go out and see the world and the country, I was going to have to start flying again. And so I did. And that was with Paige. She had her brother got married. It was right before COVID hit, actually, in February of 2020. So that was my first big major step. Was getting on an airplane, making the flight up to Boston, spending the weekend there, having a fantastic time, and flying back. And I will tell you, once those wheels touched back down on the runway in Charleston, it was like I had done something major, like I had crossed a major milestone. And when you do something like that, something that you have been afraid of for a very long time, for decades, and you conquer it like that, and not only that, but you conquer it in a way that you actually enjoyed the experience, it was unfreaking believable. And I knew from that point that I was well on the road to recovery. Like, I had all the tools in place, and I still talked with my therapist. And I mean, things started taking off from there. And unfortunately, as we all know, the events of 2020 happened, which we moved down here to Orlando during that time. And all of my office visits, obviously everything had to go virtual. So I still met virtually with her for quite a while, twice a week. And I still kept my progression. I didn't let the virtual visits stop me. I didn't use any excuses, nothing. I still dug down and did the work. And I went through HELL when COVID hit, because everything that I was supposed to be doing here all fell apart when the job market crumbled. And I basically lost all the jobs that I had lined up when I was moving here. That was hard. And I had to, I'll do a vlog on that at some point. Life got very hard, but I never let it diminish me, and I kept pushing forward every single day, even to the point of dressing up in my suit every day and going out and going to businesses that were open saying, hey, I want to work, are you hiring? And I remember one day I came home because I got nothing. Now here I am, college graduate with paramedic license, all my fire certs, everything that would be very good to have in an economy, and a ton of skills, and I can't find a job, or I can't find a career again. You know, I'd left the fire service from Charleston to come down here, and again, everything had fallen apart. I had nothing, and nobody was hiring because nobody knew what the hell was going on. And I tell you, there were times I started to feel dejected, but like I said before, I did not let that diminish me, and I kept pushing forward. I kept working out every day. I kept doing what I had to do to be successful. And long story short, once COVID came and went, and we finally broke out of that, thank God Florida was different than the rest. We actually got things opened up earlier. I started working again. I started getting my passions back, which only aided in my recovery. I kept going, kept riding new things, kept doing new experiences. Part of that was actually going to Epcot and taking on my nemesis, which I had never done before, but was one of my greatest fears, and that was the ride called Mission Space. I did that and absolutely loved it, which was another step forward in overcoming the anxiety issue and not letting it run my life. And actually, I bought this after riding that ride, because I have a Mission Space shirt, and then I bought this, the X2, because what was funny was after riding that, I said, what the hell was I so afraid of? This is one of the greatest rides ever. I love this ride. I ride it all the time. And so it was just this wave of healing that kept coming and coming and coming. And finally, August 7th of 2023 rolls around, and thinking, what more can be done to kind of prove to myself that, one, I need to trust other people, and two, you got to go out and live life regardless of all your fears and stuff that your mind makes up. And the idea came to mind was, let's go skydiving. And so that's what I did. Paige and I went. I booked the date at Zephyr Hills first thing in the morning. We got in the car at like 6, 7 a.m. because we were jumping out of the plane at like 9. And oh my gosh, what an experience that was. And I always like to think when I tell this story is I left all of that anxiety, all that bullcrap up in that aircraft up there in the sky. I literally, once we were out of that plane, and it felt like anybody that's ever been skydiving knows what I'm talking about. It feels like you're flying. It feels like God has his hand right here on your stomach and he's holding you up in the air. You do not feel yourself plummeting towards earth at terminal velocity at all. And the explanation I got was it's because the aircraft is already moving forward at 100+ miles an hour, that when you jump out you're going this fast, and instead you're not just dropping, you're actually going like that you're moving forward and going down. So your body doesn't understand what's going on. What a freeing feeling, man, just to be out there in the great wide open with the clouds underneath you. I mean, I think we were almost 14,000 feet up, so just shy of 3 miles. And we did a free fall for almost a minute before the chute opened. And then once that chute opened, you can hear it was so quiet under the chute, like my flight instructor and I were talking to each other just like I'm talking to the camera. You could hear everything. And he let me steer the chute down. And then once my ass landed on the ground, on the grass, I mean, you talk about a wave of emotion and just complete and utter euphoria. Holy cow, that's one of the greatest highs I think I've ever experienced. It stayed like that for days, if not weeks. And so I have the video, which I'm going to show you at the end of this. It's just a reminder that anybody can do this stuff. And you literally have to tell your brain to shut the F up. We're going to go do this. My biggest problem was trusting other people to get shit done or to protect me, because I've been so used to being in that caregiver role, that provider role, that rescuer role, that everybody relies on me when they're in trouble and to get shit done. Well, my fear was, well, who's going to take care of me when I need help? And as I said, one of the keys that unlocked my life again, that my therapist helped me with, was there are things in this world that we can absolutely have complete control over. Like, I'm picking up this X2 rocket. I can turn it on by pushing the buttons. I can even try to make it fly for a minute by throwing it. I'm controlling myself doing that. There are other things that I have zero control over, no matter what I'm going to do, no matter what difference I think I'm going to make. Shit is going to happen as it's supposed to happen, and there's nothing I can do about it. But basically, it's stop with this fear of bad things always are going to happen. That is the biggest kryptonite that I can see with people that come into the ER with this anxiety. Everybody is scared to death of what could possibly happen or what might be happening, and then having these idiot boxes in our hands with Google and Googling every little thing known to man. What's wrong if I have this? What's wrong if I have that? Well, as you know, Google tells you you've got 3 business days left to live, no matter if you put a runny nose in there. And everybody, because of all of this, because of all of the information at our fingertips these days, everybody wants to control everything. Everybody wants to be in control. You hear it all the time. And so we create these environments and everybody's anxious. And I'm tired of this diagnosis. Oh, I'm diagnosing you with anxiety. I'm diagnosing you with ADHD. And like I said, people take this shit and they run with it, because now they're running around the theme parks thinking they need some kind of handicap pass because, oh, I have a diagnosis of anxiety. I can't wait in a line. I have a diagnosis of attention deficit hyperactive disorder. I can't wait in a line. ADHD. and they believe this stuff. They actually believe this stuff, that they're somehow victims now because of these diagnoses. It's like that YouTuber I was talking about. He literally was acting like he was some kind of victim because of this. Like, people need to feel sorry for him. All through that anxiety, when I had it, I was so pissed off that I had it, and I wanted to get rid of it, but after a point, I realized I can't do this on my own. And I'll be honest with you all watching this, you can't either. This requires somebody that knows what the hell they're doing, and they need to do it without medicine, I can tell you that. The only caveat to that would be is if you are really, really deep in it, and you need maybe 3 days to a week just to calm your body down and then get right off of it. That's the only exception in my book. But these people that wind up on benzodiazepines, which is like Xanax and that kind of stuff, and SSRIs like Prozac and everything else, when you end up on that stuff for weeks, months, years, you can't just come off of that. You almost have to be hospitalized to come off of that. And there's stories on YouTube. There's a documentary called Medicating Normal that's about people that are in the military service and various other walks of life that got prescribed that stuff, and it completely screwed up their life until they got off of it. So I'm telling you, it's literally a Band-Aid. It's not fixing anything. It's just numbing you. That's all it does. It doesn't do anything else other than numb you. If you want to get better, if you want to do the work and put in the effort, you will get better. You can and will get better. 100%. But it's not easy. It is not anywhere close to being easy. It's some of the hardest work you'll ever do. But the reward on the other side of it is immense. It's your life. You get your life back plus some. It's like unlocking the key to a brand new life. It's like the door opens like, unfreaking believable. But there's so much of this victimhood mentality nowadays. Everybody's like, I have anxiety, so I guess that's just what it is. And people come into the ER daily with this stuff. And I'm the one that tells them, after the doctor does his or her thing, that you don't have to live with this. This is fixable. And then they look at you like you got 18 heads because nobody's ever sat down and told them that. And that the way out of it is actually relatively simple. The work is hard. The way out of it is relatively simple. When I mean the work is hard, you got to change your diet. You got to eat right. You got to get plenty of sleep. You got to exercise almost every day. You got to find yourself a hobby if you don't have one. You got to get your mind right. You got to get your career right. You got to get all the passions in your life firing all on 8 cylinders, and you got to be chasing excellence every single day. You got to want to be that person that's just going to just give it all every day and not stop once you feel better, because it never stops. After I got off that airplane and we touched back down on the ground, and that I felt like that was just beginning for me. Every day I'm chasing after trying to be the best that I can be. As men, we need to get our shit back together again and stop being so damn whiny all the time, and stop being victims and start protecting the ladies like what's what we're supposed to do. We are the protectors, but we flip the roles around. And I honestly think that's why everybody's running around so anxious, because everything is all screwed up. If you go to other countries, now I've never been out of the country, but when you just talk to people that aren't from here, this shit really doesn't exist over there in the same numbers it does here, because things are allowed to be normal. We're allowed to be human beings. We have sexual polarities for a reason. We have things, men do things better than women. Women do things better than men. We're not equals. None of that shit exists. That's a Western thing, and it has failed spectacularly because it doesn't work. Look at everybody running around with all this anxiety. Where do you think it comes from? I mean, this is a lot of it right here. Everybody wants to know everything about life, and if they don't, then, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I can't do this. I can't do that. And then it keeps going. But I'm speaking to the guys especially right now. If you want to get out of the anxiety thing, first off, you got to go to the gym. You got to start lifting shit that's heavy. You got to start putting sweat out, and sweat equity is like they like to call it. And you got to work hard at least an hour, hour and a half every day, or at least 5 to 6 days a week. And you got to eat well, and you got to work on your purpose. Find something you love. And do something every day if you can that makes you uncomfortable. You want to get out of the anxiety rotation? Do something every day that makes you uncomfortable. Hands down, one of the best ways to do that. So that there's going to be more videos, more vlogs, home vlogs on this, or I might even do one walking around. But this is kind of an intro to this whole thing. Because after seeing some of the things I've seen more recently, it just kind of reached a head with me that I'm like, I have got to say something. Like, I can't just sit and watch this happen anymore. You know, I'm not a licensed therapist, but I've been in the deep throes of having really bad anxiety, okay? If you all have any questions, want to know anything, want to bend my ear for a second, leave me a message down in the comments. You know, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk with you. Yeah, even just little guides like what to do or where's a good starting point. Because everybody has at least one or two things deep down in their brains that's causing a lot of this anxiety. You know, for me, as I said earlier, it was about being in control and afraid to let go of control. Everybody's is different. And as I like to tell the patients at the ER, it's like having a clogged sink. You keep filling it up with water and eventually it overflows. It has to go somewhere. And that's like our brains. It gets jammed up and all this information just starts spilling out everywhere. And that's a lot of it's anxiety. It's our body warning us that it's starting to get overloaded. And so basically what it takes is you got to reach down in that drain. You got to pull that junk, that big mess of garbage out of there and throw it down on the ground and look and through it and go, oh, okay, that's what it was that was clogging it. Got it. And now that the drain's open, the water can run out. And you got a nice clean open sink again. And it's just like this. You got to get deep down in the brain to figure out what is going on, because everybody's got a reason. Anxiety doesn't just show up overnight and all of a sudden just cripple you. This is something that happens slowly over time because something has happened and people try to deal with it themselves and they can't, and they just keep trying to smooth it over, smooth it over, smooth it over, and next thing you know, it's been 5 years and you're doing nothing but sitting in your house every day because you're afraid to go anywhere, and you're in and out of the ER because you think you're dying all the time. Before we get to the grand finale of this vlog, I want to go over some things real quick of what to look for with an anxiety attack. If you start finding this stuff out or you feel this, please relax. There's nothing bad happening, I promise you. First thing that's going to happen if you start feeling anxious and wound up, you're going to feel a wave of numbness race from head to toe. It'll almost feel like a, not an electric shock, but it's a wave of numb. It starts here and it goes all the way down to your feet. That is your nervous system firing up. That means that shit's about to get real and your body's getting ready. Your fight or flight nervous system is about ready to be like, it's on, you son of a bitch, let's go. If you feel that, that means your body's starting to get revved up for this thing. Your breathing's going to start to go up. Your heart rate's going to start to go up. If you can get yourself to a happy place, to a calm place, and relax, like my happy places are the theme parks. That's what I love. And so, or at home playing Grand Theft Auto 5, or hopefully soon to be 6, MLB The Show, 24, 25, whatever, the new college football game, or Red Dead 2 on PS5. Those are the things I love. So I will take myself to those moments, and it literally starts backing it down, because I will ask myself repeatedly, just to myself, if I was sitting at home playing my PS5 or whatever, or if I was walking around the theme parks, would I be feeling like this at this very moment? And almost every time the answer is no. Because you wouldn't. You're doing things that distract you. You're not thinking about it. So the answer is no. So you take yourself to this happy place, right? So that's how I use it to wind down and back it off. Now, if you don't get this thing backed off before it gets fired up and going, you've got to hang on for the ride. There's no other choice. Think about it as a roller coaster. Think about it like Mako at SeaWorld. It climbs up the lift hill slowly. It's like your anxiety is getting wound up, getting wound up, getting wound up. And if you can stop it on that lift hill, you can back it back down into the station and everything's fine. But if it leaves that chain and rolls off that lift hill, you got no other choice but to go along for the ride. And this is where having somebody with you that has somewhat of an understanding of what's going on and isn't going to freak out with you, because that makes it 10 times worse. How many times it drives me crazy, some of these women are like, oh, I want somebody that's going to be right there with me, like freaking out with me. I've actually had somebody ask me, well, why aren't you freaking out with me? And I'm like, well, what's that going to look like? How that's supposed to help you if I'm losing my shit along with you? No. Supposed to be the man here, supposed to protect you. I got this. So if you have a significant other that has severe anxiety and you're trying to get them through this, once they have that anxiety attack or it starts rolling and you know you can't back it off through breathing techniques and just calming down, first off, don't reach for the phone. Put the phone away. Don't dial 911. I'm telling you, obviously, I got to tread lightly on this because I don't really want to say don't dial 911 because, that one time somebody was like, oh, Matt said not to do it. Then somebody's actually got something real going on. But you gotta really look at the symptoms carefully with this, okay? If you start feeling your heart race, if you start feeling your chest hurt right here in the middle, that is where everything is interconnected right there. When you start getting anxious in that you don't realize it, but everything tightens up and it goes right to there. And all those muscles tighten, the nerve, everything tightens, and that's why everybody gets pain there. And that's why when they breathe in, everybody's like, oh, there's pain when I breathe in. That's because those muscles are insanely tight. It's not the same as cardiac pain. Cardiac pain is a whole other thing. Cardiac pain is the proverbial elephant on the chest with it's not so much pain, it's more of a pressure that just will not relent. Being covered in sweat, just the pain is a level unlike I've seen anything. I've not seen people with that level of pain having anxiety attacks, okay? Cardiac pain is something on a completely different level, all right? Panic attack chest pain is like usually going to be located right here. It's going to be under here. It could be here, here. Just usually you can point to it, okay? It's because your muscles are getting tight. However, though you think it's cardiac pain, obviously do what you feel is best. But I'm telling you, if you have to go to the ER, you got to go to the ER. But most 99.999% of the time, these panic attacks don't require an ER visit. They just don't. That's the reality of it. But I can tell you, if you start feeling like you're going to go on that coaster ride, the person that's with you has to literally just take you and wrap you up and hold on to you. That's one of the best things you can do. Or just grab their hand and hold on to their hand. To get near them and hold on to them, because they are going to go on a ride, okay? And it's going to be up to you to get them through this ride. And all you can do is, once this thing starts, all you can do is just give them breathing techniques, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Start talking about things that they love. That's all you can do. And you're going to talk them through this thing, okay? And the other thing you're going to watch out for is the numbness and tingling in the hands, the face, especially around the mouth, and then in the feet. What that is, all right, ladies and gentlemen, please pay attention. What that is, you're not having a stroke. I'm telling you right now, that is not a stroke. The numbness you're feeling in your face, hands, and feet is the oxygen leaving your extremities to protect your core. That's what your body does. Your body realizes, hey, there's something going on here. I need to protect the core. So it starts moving all of your oxygen towards the center, because you're breathing so hard, you're offsetting your oxygen carbon dioxide balance. Normally it lives perfectly balanced like this. When we start, because we think we can't get a full breath, oxygen starts going down here, carbon dioxide starts going up. And so it starts pulling all of your oxygen toward the center of the body to protect the core, which is why you get numb. which is always why when people start calming down, the feeling goes back because everything returns to normal. Well, one of two things will happen once you get to this point. One, you'll start cramping up. Their hands will get like this. I've seen them where they're like this, where they're just like, they call this the decordicate posture, where you're protecting the core. They'll be like, and their hands will be all contorted. It's because they got no oxygen cells in the extremities, and everything's like cramped up. And I've even seen people's feet all balled up. You got to instruct them through that, okay? You got to have them breathe nice and easy. One of two things will happen, though, once that happens. Either A, you're going to calm them down, and they're going to come out of it, you'll be fine. Or B, they're going to pass out, and they're going to wake up, and they're going to be just fine. If they pass out for an anxiety attack, it's not, you don't need an ambulance. It's the body resetting itself. It's not anything majorly dangerous. It's the body going, oh, buddy, I need a minute, stop. It's our emergency safety switch, and it engages itself, and it's like it knocks you out, and then you wake up, and the panic attack is gone. Which is why if you start getting somebody that's starting to get real spun up like that, the best thing you can do is if they're driving, pull over, or if they're in the house or wherever they're at, get them seated on the ground, someplace where they're not going to fall, and just start talking them through it. Because if they do pass out, you obviously don't want them behind the wheel, and you don't want them standing. You want them on the ground, and that will help them tremendously. A lot of times you can talk people out of it just by talking with them nice and easy, calm. Don't fall for the BS, and don't get wound up in their anxiety. No matter how much they want, they blame you or yell. You go, why aren't you freaking out with me? Sometimes you just have to tell them, hey, shut up, I got you. Just hold on to me. You have to be that stern sometimes with these people. And it's not that you don't care, it's just you're dealing with an irrational brain at that moment, and you have to be very forward about it, okay? So, those are some tips about what to do. Again, this is an intro vlog to this stuff. There's going to be a lot more of these as we move forward. If I were to sit here and talk about this whole thing, it'd be a 4 or 5 hour podcast. It'd be long. There's a lot to talk about. But if there's one thing I really want to do outside of the theme parks, this is kind of a outside the turnstiles type thing, if you will. We got to start bringing more and more. We got to bring more awareness about anxiety, and that it's not this big dangerous juggernaut that they want us to think it is. It's a part of life. It kicks in when we're tired. It kicks in when we're not getting enough sleep. It kicks in when our diets suck. It kicks in when we're not getting enough exercise. It kicks in when our body's trying to warn us about something. It's there as a warning system. It's there as a way to make us aware of something. And when you numb that with medication, you're actually putting yourself in danger because your body isn't doing what it's designed to do. You're just there. I've heard this theory that ADHD was something that humans had evolved with over time, because our brains evolved with it because we had to develop a second part of our nervous system. Because if we were just feeding and breathing all the time, sitting back like this, you get killed by animals hunting you. But having that ADHD, attention hyperdeficit disorder, it makes you keenly aware of your surroundings. It's really interesting. There's a whole big discussion on that. Again, another time, because this will go on really long. But anyway, we got to stop numbing this stuff and start understanding it better. It is a part of us. There's nothing we're going to do to get rid of it completely. We have to learn how to live with it and learn how to use it to our advantages. That's how you deal with it. So with that, I'm going to wrap this one up. I hope you all got a lot out of this. Thank you very much for listening. I know it's a little long-winded, but this is a big topic. After today, we're going to go back to the parks. Lots of Halloween stuff coming up. Not going to be as crazy as a lot of these other vloggers with all this Halloween stuff. We're going to have some fun with it. But I want to show you the decorations and all the fun stuff. Plus, there's merch out, and we'll wrap up this hurricane. That's still marching northward. We got a lot to do, a lot to talk about over the next several days. So, I hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you all for your support. Keep subscribing. I really appreciate everything you guys are doing for helping the channel. Keep sending those likes. because that gets us up in the algorithm, and keep up with engagements. I do my best to try to talk with everybody. Thank you very much. And again, if you have any questions on this, feel free to ask me. Again, saying it for liability reasons, but I'm not a licensed therapist, but I'm very happy to try to help people navigate through this. I really, having been there, done that, got that t-shirt with this stuff, I'm really good at helping people navigate this stuff, okay? So, without wasting any more time, let's get our ass in gear. I'm going to show you my way of dominating anxiety, making it my bitch, and basically making it live for me, not me living for it. Hope that made sense. Let's check this out, everybody.
Matt, welcome back, bro.
Thank you.
You just made that skydive at 13,500 feet, going 120 miles an hour with my buddy Richard. I gotta know, what was your favorite part, man? That exit. I love that. That's my favorite part. Yeah. Would you ever do it again?
Yes.
Yeah?
100%, yes.
Well, how about with my buddy Richard, man?
Absolutely.
Nice one, Richard. Well, hey, man, thanks for letting me tag along. We'll see you up there.
Sounds great.